I got to get back on the Paul Ryan, what do I call this? Sideshow circus? I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth, what I feel like calling it this time. But nonetheless, I don't have much faith in him or any other politician for the most part. So first, let's cover a little something that just happened here recently, as you all know. And that is Paul Ryan. Senate passes Senate passes 2-year budget deal. So for 2 years, Paul Ryan, new Speaker of the House, doesn't have to say to the taxpayers, yeah, I know where I really stood on that, but now I have to go against my word to you guys, or anything. He doesn't have to say anything because he's got 2 full years. Budget deal's been passed, all that nonsense. So it says the Senate early Friday morning gave final approval to a large fiscal package that would prevent a U.S. default next week and lower the risk of a government shutdown in December. The bill already cleared the House. Now goes to the President Obama, who is expected to sign it. And the measure, which suspends the nation's debt limit through March 2017 and increases federal spending for domestic and defense programs by more than $80 billion over the next 2 years. Remember that little $38 billion increase I told you about? They're trying to put in there, Obama, I'll veto that, and he did. Now there's an $80 billion defense spending thing in there for 2 years. Divide that by half, that's $40 billion per year. They only wanted $38 billion just the other day. Huh. You don't say. So an increased federal spending for domestic and defense. As I said, defense will receive no recession. It will only continue to grow in expense. Programs by more than $80 billion over the next 2 years had broad support from Democrats, but limited support from Republicans. Then how did it pass? If it was limited, then how did it pass? Many of whom complained the deal brokered by bipartisan congressional leaders contained too much spending. So some complained about that. Oh, really? Then why did it pass? GOP presidential candidate Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky forced a rare overnight Senate session when he filibustered the bill. Quote, the right's going to get more military money. The left's going to get more welfare money. The secret handshake goes on, and the American public gets stuck with the bill, he said in a speech on the floor Thursday afternoon. This deal will do nothing but explode the debt, he said. Senator Pat Toomey, a conservative Republican facing a tough re-election campaign in Pennsylvania, said the bill, quote, fails to address our overspending problem. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who helped force the last government shutdown in 2013, said the deal gives Obama a diamond-encrusted, glow-in-the-dark Amex card, or American Express card. And it has a special feature, he said. The president gets to spend it now, and they don't even have to send him the bill. They send the bill to your kids and my kids. It's a pretty nifty card. You don't have to pay for it. You get to spend it, and it's someone else's problem. Other Republicans, including those who work regularly across the aisle, complained too. Then how did it pass? How did it pass? Well, we were outnumbered. I just read bipartisanship. Bipartisan means Democrats and Republicans got together. We faced our differences, got past our differences, and some of us flip-flopped. So it means nothing. The concerns by Senate Republicans were consistent with those of House Republicans, most of whom voted against the deal when it passed the House on Wednesday. But it was never really in doubt that Senate Republicans, led by their leadership, would provide enough votes to clear the Senate to ensure the U.S. would not default on its debt. Democrats insisted the agreement was worthwhile. Quote, the budget agreement is good for the middle class, good for the economy, and good for the country. Oh, I know who that quote is. No, I heard it. No wonder why it sounds fishy to me. Said Democratic leader Harry Reid. Oh. So this agreement is good for the middle class, good for the economy, and good for the country? Wow. Who worked quietly with bipartisan leaders in the House and Senate to cut the deal. And Obama said Friday morning that he applauded both parties for the bill's passage. You guys are great. And Mr. Obama said, quote, "It is paid for in a responsible, balanced way, in part with a measure to ensure that partnerships like hedge funds pay what they owe in taxes just like everybody else. It locks in 2 years of funding and should help break the cycle of shutdowns and manufactured crises that have harmed our economy." The vote came just hours after former House Speaker John Boehner retired and turned over the top House position to Representative Paul Ryan. The passage of this particular bill means Ryan can begin his new job with a slate cleaned of some of the most controversial issues before the Congress. So, Mr. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, Big Daddy, let's see what you Republicans have. That's all I've been hearing. Well, wait till we get in office. We're going to clean house. We're going to get rid of Obamacare. First thing we're going to do. Oh, really? John Boehner was in your way, right? Now he's gone. And the new Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, I just Googled Paul Ryan's stance on Obamacare. First page of Google. I'm not even going to click on the links. I'm going to read you the little summary that Google has provided me. Paul Ryan, Obamacare. Paul Ryan, healthcare reform. Paul Ryan goes after Obamacare and lays out the Paul Ryan healthcare reform plan. Paul Ryan's Obamacare stance is clear. Paul Ryan says Obama's healthcare laws have no place in America. Sounds like he's on our team then, okay? Paul Ryan, June 28th, 2015. TheHill.com. Paul Ryan, Obamacare will collapse under its own weight. On Sunday predicted that now that the Supreme Court upheld the Affordable Care Act subsidies, the law will fail by itself, he said, back in June 28, 2015. Paul Ryan's Obamacare repeal admission, Washington Post, April 8th, 2014. I'm going to click on this link because I do want to read this one. That's him. Got a picture of him right there. Paul Ryan's Obamacare repeal admission. For as long as Republicans preach, again, dated April 8th, 2014. For as long as Republicans preach the gospel of repeal and replace, and then just repeal Obamacare, they also assured everyone that the popular parts of the Affordable Care Act would remain. Keeping your kids on your insurance policy until they're 26 would stay. So too would the ban on denying coverage due to a pre-existing condition. But in an interview with Al Hunt of Bloomberg News, Ryan let the cat out of the bag. Repeal of Obamacare would mean repeal of everything. Here's the exchange between Ryan and Hunt. Read it carefully, and I'll meet you on the other side. Hunt, you think it will be repealed? Ryan, I don't think it can last. Yes. I think the architecture of this law is so fundamentally flawed that I think it's going to collapse under its own weight. And the sooner those of us who want true reform can show a better way forward, the faster we can repeal. And yes, I really do believe in the next administration with a better Congress that we will replace this law and save the healthcare system from this really ugly moment. Now, I'll stop there. There's a lot more to this article, but I'll go ahead and stop there. Mr. Ryan, did you think in April of 2014, as you made that statement about the next administration, so as Obama leaves at the end of 2016 and all that, did you think that there was a chance in hell you'd have the chance to become Speaker of the House before Obama leaves, a year before Obama leaves? You can make good on that promise now, son. The question is, are you going to? That is the question. So where does J-Stamp 4 stand on all this? What do I think is going to happen? If history is my guide, nothing has gotten better. Things continually are getting worse. I don't think that Obamacare will be repealed for the following and only the following reason. The United States government just took in this year more tax money than they ever have before, income tax money. Ever before. How is that possible when things are not looking too good in the economy and a lot of the numbers are terrible across the board? How does the Congress, the government I should say, pull in record amount of revenue? Answer, as I said would be the answer a while back, before this even came out as news. And anyone could probably make the same prediction, honestly. And that is, the people who can't afford Obamacare will be paying that IRS fine next year and then the year after. And what happened the first year it was released? You paid a little fine, which was last year. So last year, I was one of the first ones to have to pay that fine. This coming year, right around the corner, the fine increases significantly. And then next year, it increases even more significantly. So I said, it's going to become so outrageously expensive for people to afford health care insurance. A ton of people are going to opt and do the math very quickly and say, even with these outrageous fees, paying the IRS this not having insurance fee is far less money than covering my whole family for, or even one person. Even yourself as a sole individual, single individual, you will save more money paying the tax than you would paying health insurance all year. So it's a no-brainer. I'd rather pay the fine. And what happened? A lot of people paid that fine. And the government took in the money just like it had anticipated, which is why we said from day one, that's why the IRS is handling that fee. Who's going to collect it? I think it was, of all people, Bill O'Reilly was asking one of these bozo congressmen, who's going to collect this money? If it's not IRS, how's it going to get collected? You have to have some entity to collect it. How? Well, it'll be done through the IRS, but not. So it's an IRS. No, it's not that. It's not. And it was. It is the IRS. And guess what happens? 2016. My penalty I paid last year goes up quite a bit, which means millions of other Americans' bills go up the same, which means we may have record income tax collected next year in the face of a terrible economy. That's how that works. And each time the healthcare costs increase, they lose a ton of people to become what I am, which is a non-healthcare person or family. We do not have it. I will not pay a second mortgage, basically, on health insurance. And you still got to come out of pocket, and you got a multi-$1,000 deductible and this and that. I'm paying you, which if I did have insurance, $1,000 plus a month, easily right now, easily, more than that probably, for middle of the road insurance. And then for you to say, I need this little thing done, oh, it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars or thousands, depending on what your plan is, premium, your little out-of-pocket fee. And you're going to say, I haven't come here in a year, so a year times, let's just say $1,000, you guys got $12,000 off me. I only need this little $2,000 operation. Why am I coming out of pocket for half that cost, or $800 out of my pocket? What? Because all of those pre-existing conditions got to cover those people too. And those people, a lot of them, can't afford it, health insurance anyways, so they're the ones getting the subsidies. So you, once again, the taxpayer, are subsidizing other people's health care while simultaneously giving the government a fat check when you decide not to pay that fee and just pay through the IRS, which doesn't really matter anyways, because even if you pay the IRS, that gets more money that can go to Medicaid and Medicare, which goes right back around to the people who need it again. One way or another, you're screwed and you're paying it whether you like it or not. Now, having said that, I am curious, and I'm going to do this live for the first time right now. Health care premiums 2016. Google, what do you have for me? Oh, in the news, first hit, Military Times. Let's read that one. I mean, it's right in my face. TRICARE young adult premiums to rise sharply in 2016. Healthcare premiums for the adult children of military personnel and retirees will increase next year by, get ready for this, holy shit, 26 to 48%. Oh my God. Depending on the type of coverage, TRICARE officials announced Wednesday. The monthly payment for beneficiaries using TRICARE Young Adult Prime will rise from the current payment of $208 to $306 starting January 1st, while the monthly premium for those on TRICARE Young Adult Standard will increase from $181 to $228. They are sucking you dry. I remember years ago, I'm talking before Obamacare even came into existence, and the health insurance was still doing this. Up. Even without Obamacare, it was already rising. And I went and looked at my job. And at that time, see, if you have a pre-existing condition and you're part of a company and you have company insurance, that healthcare provider will cover all employees of your company, including those who had pre-existing conditions. And I'm talking before Obamacare, okay? So I decided one time, what does insurance cost me? This was before Obamacare, this was years ago, but not all that long ago. And I remember, hey, we've got company healthcare coverage, which means the company itself that I work for is footing some of the bill for each employee. And then the employee is responsible for another portion or a different, whatever, the remaining portion of the bill, the healthcare coverage bill that you get every month, the premium. So in my mind, whatever I would normally be able to get insurance for, there's going to be a certain percentage of that taken off because my company that I work for is paying some of it. That's cool. Okay. So I got a little quote, and it was $238, I believe was my quote, just for me, monthly, $238. I thought to myself, man, it had been a long time since I had insurance, but I was like, God, that seems kind of high. So I was telling my wife about it. She goes, yeah, why don't you check Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida? I said, okay, so I did. Single person here, no company insurance, no, just me, fill it out. Premium 107. Hold on. I sent it to our HR person. Can you compare what our plan, like this plan that I had here that was $238, if I went with it with our company versus this plan that I can get privately? Actually, that plan you've got is a little bit better than the one we have here. How? It's $238 a month here. It's $107 privately. It doesn't make sense. She said, I don't know. But we're about to have a meeting here shortly, in the next few days, on our new health insurance, the plans and this and that, and how it works and all that. So maybe we can find out. I was okay. So I waited my turn, and we had a meeting at the office, employees, management. And I asked the question. I said, I got to ask something. I guess I'm a little confused because you're telling me, I saw this with one of the owners. I said, you're telling us that the company does pay partial that amount. So whatever's left that I'm seeing that I would owe if I get this plan is my responsibility, correct? Yes. So I don't see what you're actually paying. No, we just do it on the backside. I said, okay, well that's even more disturbing. I said, here's why. I don't know what the full bill is, but what mine is, my piece of it is $238 a month. So I don't know what you guys are paying on top of that. But whatever it is, I can go get my own private insurance for $107, and it's a little bit better coverage than we have here as a company. I'm confused. Why is that? And she said, well, that's because we have, a company health insurance policy here, and when companies sign up for health insurance, the health insurance providers have to provide coverage for all employees, which means some employees have pre-existing conditions. And I'm not naming any names of my company at all, but I do know one person whose spouse has absolutely a pre-existing condition and could not ever get health insurance coverage unless they worked for this company or another company, same situation. So here's where I'm going with this. I realize they're right there on that spot. I'm subsidizing. We are all, the company's subsidizing. Every single employee that has insurance is subsidizing this one particular employee and their spouse. And by the way, I love this employee. I have nothing but good things to say about this employee. I have to use this as an example because this is true, factual, personal experience. So don't think I'm like picking on them in any way. I liked helping people, for God's sakes. But I realized, why would I want to spend $238, and if I sign up, my company that I work for also has to pay some fee. Maybe it's another $100. What if it's $338, $350 a month is the total bill that they're getting from me, when I could get it by myself for $107? That's absurd. I said it. I didn't say that, but I said in the meeting, I was like, I can get it for like, I checked. I can get a little bit better insurance than here for $107. I don't understand. That's when she said, that's because we have company insurance and they have to cover people with pre-existing conditions, so sometimes it's a bit more money. I'm thinking, well, not that I said this to them, but I'm like, well, thanks for telling us. Like I should just go get my own, personal health care. I had no idea the system worked that way, but apparently it's just normal for everybody. Oh yeah, so it is. So I didn't know. I got woken up right there. But I realized, wow, what a freaking scam that these insurance companies do. But at the same time, they can't afford, the insurance company, to pay for these outrageous multi-$10,000 things and operations, everything else on people that need health care like that. So the rest of us suckers are the ones that pay it. And then those of us who figure the system out, and some of you guys, right? And say, I'm not going to be part of it. I ain't paying. I don't want insurance. I don't need it. Screw it. Oh, new bill just passed, Obamacare. Now you're going to pay a fee anyways. What? But I don't have health care. I don't use health care. I don't want got to pay the fee then. You're fining someone for not having a private service? What sense does that make? So in all of this, knowing the premiums are going up, 26 to 47%. MilitaryTimes.com. Townhall.com. Next one. And they got it in quote. Affordable. White House confirms steep 2016 Obamacare premium hikes. The Obama administration is finally admitting what industry experts and state-level actuaries have been forecasting for months, based on factors such as underperforming bailout-style programs, expiring after next year, by the way, designed to artificially hold rates down, sicker than expected risk pools of people, and stagnating enrollment projections. Meaning, everything I just said in forecast before all this crap happened was spot on. People will be dropping out of healthcare because they can't afford it. Check. People will be paying that fine because it's cheaper than paying for healthcare. Check. The government is using that money, and they needed it all along, and that was the whole reason it passed, and that's the whole reason the Supreme Court ruled in favor, 5-4 ruling. Isn't that amazing? You mean to tell me that some of the worst things that the Supreme Court has ruled on, 5-4, 5-4. Oh, where do we see these 5-4 voting? Oh no, just one vote shy. We could have won either way. Oh man, next time we'll get them. How about the sham elections? 51-49, 52-48 sometimes if it's a landslide. That's a landslide? 52-48 is a landslide? 51-49 is normal? And we all, we'll get them next time. Those damn Republicans, we'll get them next time. Oh, those damn Democrats, we'll get them next time. And then the guy you were voting for, now that he didn't win, you get to see what he's done and voted on for the next 4 years. And you say, I thought you were against this guy, the guy who won. I thought you were against all his policies and you're voting for them. And you're changing and adding new ones that are crap that he wants and you're agreeing to. I thought you guys were arch nemesis and Republican versus Democrat, and here you guys are making deals together. Bipartisanship. This country is so done. It is so finished. It is unbelievable. I remember doing a video, I don't know how long ago, but a year or less, I would say, And I said, look, here's numerous healthcare companies crying to the federal government. Here's our results of premiums we've received and how much we had to pay the medical industry, doctors, whatever, the claims, the medical claims. And we brought in $33 million, but we spent $53 million. Over here, we brought in $27 million, but we spent $40 million. We have to have an increase. We're telling the states, notifying the states and government, we must have an increase. What is the states and the government, federal government, going to say? No. Then what happens? Then they go bust. Again, health insurance is simply insurance. Car insurance, health insurance, house insurance, it's just insurance. And an insurance company can only afford to pay something if they're making money, like any business. So can you imagine them wanting to just keep Obamacare going? So what were the key things here? In underperforming bailout-style programs, which many people said would happen. No, it won't. Yes, it was. Okay. Designed to artificially hold on to rates. Sicker than expected risk pool of people. Oh, all those you can have insurance with pre-existing conditions? Yeah, come on down. Oh, a whole bunch more people are way sicker than we thought. Oh, that's going to cost. And third, stagnating enrollment projections. Stagnating enrollment, which means no one signing up, or few. October 16, 2015. It's working. White House forecasts low Obamacare enrollment next year. What do you mean it's working? Maybe I published this post a day too soon. The Huffington Post reports on new projections from the Obamacare administration, predicting that relatively few uninsured Americans will obtain coverage through the Affordable Care Act's exchange in 2016. This is just the latest instance of federal enrollment expectations being adjusted downward, a troublesome trend driven by a combination of factors. And first, the basics. He says fewer than 1 million new customers nationwide will have health care insurance from the Obamacare exchanges next year, according to a federal report published Thursday. The Department of Health and Human Services estimates that 10 million people will be covered by private health insurance policies obtained via the Affordable Care Act's exchange marketplaces in 2016, an increase of just 900,000 from the 9.1 million people the department estimates will have such plans by the end of this year. So there's only 9, and estimating that there'll be 10 million people total on Obamacare? Is that what I'm reading right now? 20 million Americans. And that's right. The Department of Health and Human Services estimates that 10 million people will be covered by private health insurance policies obtained via the Affordable Care Act exchange marketplaces in 2016, an increase of just 900,000 from the 9.1 million people the department estimates will have such plans by the end of this year. So they're estimating that 9.1 million will have healthcare plans this year, and next year an additional 900,000, which equals 10 million total. The uninsured people most eager to enroll, predictably, were older, sicker consumers, many with pre-existing conditions. This phenomenon is it? We didn't know about that phenomenon. No. Has produced a risk pool that's more expensive to cover, without the needed legions of younger, healthier enrollees in the mix to defray and absorb those increases. Guys like me at work who don't want to pay $300 to $138 many years ago, before Obamacare even came out, and opted I'd rather pay $107, even though I didn't do it at the time. Thus, the coming rate shock that will accompany rising out-of-pocket costs for consumers within both the individual and employer-based markets. Huffington Post goes on, explaining that many previous enrollees who selected plans didn't follow through with payments, while others were dropped due to ineligibility. And he goes on to say, attrition on the health insurance exchange has been a factor. Oh, and by the way, many Obamacare exchanges have been shutting down left and right, especially in recent times. They can't afford to stay open. They're closing the doors. Keep that in mind, but let me finish. Attrition on the health insurance exchange has been a factor. After the 2015 sign-up period that ended in February, 11.7 million people had selected insurance plans from the marketplace. That number declined throughout the course of the year, as consumers either failed to pay premiums or dropped coverage for reasons including affordability concerns and switching to health benefits provided by an employer. But you know that last one is not so much so, and it's the first one, affordability concerns. Nearly 1 million people dropped off the exchange because they failed to provide accurate documentation of their incomes to prove they qualified for subsidies, and more than 400,000 others lost their coverage because they did not verify they were legal U.S. residents. While the health insurance exchanges have made significant strides since their rocky rollout 2 years ago, they have new challenges await during the upcoming sign-up period. Premiums for coverage that begins next year appear to be rising faster than they did prior to the last round of enrollment. Other indicators suggest that the prices for the benchmark plans used to set the value of premium subsidies aren't going up as much, but consumers will have to shop around if they hope to find coverage at a cost comparable to what they're paying now. In a number of states, enrollees will be forced to find new plans because of the financial collapse of nonprofit co-op insurance companies funded by the Affordable Care Act. One factor that could boost enrollment, at the risk of public backlash, is heftier fines for those who go without health insurance but aren't exempt from the law's individual mandate. Guys like me and you. Unbelievable. Take care.